very good day. Welcome to BNC Africa. I am Thandeka Kosa, and your news are as follows. In your local news, a stepfather impregnates a stepdaughter, gets sentenced to life. A 45-year-old stepfather has been sentenced to life imprisonment for raping his stepdaughter, aged 13. The harsh sentence was passed in Sasolburg Magistrate Court on 28 October 2021. This follows a case reported to the police about an incident that took place on 27 March 2020. Police spokesperson Captain Thandeka Kosa said that the court heard how the stepfather on the night in question raped a child on the bed at the time her mother was not around. Police said the victim was left with her other siblings who at the time were sleeping next to her. Apparently, the action became a norm to him. Later, the victim reported to the stepfather that she had fallen pregnant. Instead, he brought some medication for the victim to terminate pregnancy. However, the victim did not drink it. Later, the stepfather apparently reported to his lover that he suspected the victim might be pregnant. On further pursuit, the suspect said that the victim is lying to say she had slept with him. Police said that the suspect had instructed the victim to blame a wrong person. Detective Constable Nundlela Mthembu investigated the case. Later, the victim made a turnabout and spilled the beans about her ordeal with her stepfather. At the time of the ordeal, the victim and the suspect stayed in the same house. The victim gave birth on December 2020. The paternity test resulted positive. The suspect pleaded guilty. In other news, F.W. de Klerk, the former president of South Africa and the last white person to lead the country, has died. The 85-year-old had been diagnosed with cancer earlier this year. He came to power in 1989 under apartheid, a system of legalized racism, but later became a key figure in the transition to democracy. He ordered Nelson Mandela's release from prison, leading to historic polls where the anti-apartheid leader became the first black president. De Klerk shared the Nobel Peace Prize with Mandela for helping to navigate an end to apartheid. But his legacy divides opinion in South Africa. Following his death, the F.W. de Klerk Foundation released a video recording, dumped his final message in which he apologizes for the apartheid.
This is my last message addressed to the people of South Africa. To my dear wife and family, I will say goodbye in a different way. Our country faces so many challenges of a serious nature. I hold firm opinions about all of them, but decided to keep this message very short and only really focus on two issues. Therefore, let me today, in this last message, repeat: I, without qualification, apologize for the pain and the hurt and the indignity and the damage that apartheid has done to black, brown, and Indians in South Africa. I do so not only in my capacity as the former leader of the National Party, but also as an individual. My conversion, to which I refer, didn't end with the admission to myself of the total unacceptability of apartheid. It motivated us in the National Party to take the initiatives we took from the time that I became leader of the National Party, and more specifically during my presidency. Together with most other South Africans, I'm proud of our Constitution. The Constitution which we hammered out in the negotiations which started in 1990 and which culminated in the final Constitution of 1996. I fully associate myself with the values and principles enshrined in our Constitution. And I'm deeply concerned about the undermining of many aspects of the Constitution, which we perceive almost day to day. The road forward is a difficult one, but I firmly believe that if we take hands, and if all the reasonable people in South Africa put their heads together, we can overcome the challenges we face, and we can fulfill the tremendous potential that South Africa has. May the South African nation show the courage and the ingenuity to achieve this.
According to Captain Fikile Funda, spokesperson for the police in Vereniging, the police are conducting a forensic autopsy after they found that the 36-year-old doctor died on the floor of his consulting room on Tuesday morning. Funda said he was found on the floor with a bullet wound to his head and a pistol next to his body. The circumstances surrounding the incident are currently a part of the investigation. The body was taken to a state mortuary for a post-mortem examination, and the firearm was booked in. Onto this, illegal mining and deforestation increase pressure on Madagascar. In central Madagascar, what was once a dense forest on the side of a mountain is now dotted with mines where thousands of people risk their lives daily looking for precious stones. The workers are lowered into tunnels that stretch up to 70 meters deep in the mountain. Some struggle to breathe and the air needs to be constantly pumped. Many have no alternative and appear indefinite in the face of adversity. The workers are lowered into tunnels that stretch up to 70 meters deep into the mountain. Some struggle to breathe and the air needs to be constantly pumped. Many have no alternative and appear indefinite in the face of adversity. When we come back, we take a look at other stories.
We have all come from somewhere, being shaped and molded by our experiences. And I've learned the value of hard work and determination. There have been some highs and a couple of lows. But here I am today, successful, thanks to Ugogo and Damlin.
Welcome back to BNC Africa. I am Thandeka Kosa and your news continue. Zimbabwe takes South Africa to court over permanent residency. The Zimbabweans have lived in the country for over 10 years. Simba Chitendo, who is one of the lawyers representing the group, say the delay is now threatening not only jobs but livelihoods. African News has more.
Roughly 250,000 Zimbabweans have taken the South African government to court over delays of declaring and issuing of permanent residence. These Zimbabweans have lived in South Africa for over 10 years. The lawyers representing the group say this not only threatens jobs, but livelihoods.
There's a wide connection between the two nations as families and individuals, Zimbabweans and South Africans. And this matter affects that. It does because it puts strain on families. The ZEP is limited to the holder themselves. And you would have a situation where a spouse, a South African spouse, is affected by the fact that their husband or wife is on the ZEP, and this puts strain on their relationship, on their family.
One of the applicants says the South African Department of Home Affairs, dragging its feet on the matter, opens a gap for the exploitation of Zimbabweans.
The South African government has seen it fit to offer permanent residency to other nationals, such as the Germans and the British, and not to their neighbors.
The fate of the thousands of Zimbabweans will only be revealed in December this year, when the Zimbabwe exemption permits will expire.
Onto this, Boeing admits a liability in 737 MAX crash in Ethiopia in 2019. Aircraft manufacturer Boeing has reached a settlement with the families of the victims of the 737 MAX crash that killed 175 people in Ethiopia in March 2019. According to legal documents filed on Wednesday in a Chicago court, Boeing admitted liability for the accident. The documents do not specify any amount to be paid out to the families of the victims, but have paved the way for the next stage of negotiation. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 headed to Nairobi crashed in a field southeast of the capital, Addis Ababa, 6 minutes after taking off due to faulty software. The accident led to the grounding of all 737 MAX aircraft and the worst crisis for the American aircraft manufacturer. The legal representatives of the families have described the arguments as historic and an important step for the families to looking for justice. General Electric to break up into 3 companies to simplify business. General Electric said on Tuesday it would split into 3 public companies as the U.S. industrial conglomerate seeks to simplify its business, pare down debt, and breathe life into battered share price. The split marks the end of the 129-year conglomerate that was once the most vulnerable U.S. corporation and a global symbol of American business power. GE shares up to 6% in the morning trade, reaching over a 3-year high. The Boston-based company said 3 businesses would focus on energy, healthcare, and aviation. It will combine GE Renewable Energy, GE Power, and GE Digital and spin off the business in early 2024. In China news, China's current president, Xi Jinping, appears to secure an unprecedented 3rd term.
The first communist leader in more than 40 years to get a rewrite of China's modern history approved, and it's a glorious tale of achievement and a whitewash of the Communist Party's mistakes. And much of the praise is focused on Xi himself.
Xi Jinping has in mind the party, the military and the people who are more united than ever before.
In a system as secretive as China's, no one's saying the obvious, that all the praise and redefining history on Xi's terms is about Xi controlling China's future. There's little detail to suggest any change of direction, and experts say it's more about the leader staying in power.
It seems like he has already gotten the mandate within the party to carry on his 3rd term. Okay, if not as official capacity, there has to be some sort of special capacity office that is set up for him to remain in power.
For Australia, more Xi Jinping likely will mean more difficulties in the diplomatic relationship. His pledge to make China great again includes expectations of more respect and deference from other countries. Those within China who defy his rule are feeling the heat. In Hong Kong, a 20-year-old activist who called for the city's independence has just been jailed for 6 years under a security law Mr. Xi himself introduced. And the biggest question is Taiwan. A communist takeover would be the biggest prize of all to cement Xi's legacy, but it could come at a cost even this increasingly powerful leader isn't willing to stomach. Bill Birtles, ABC News.